My name's Andrew Levine. I go by the username Andrarchy on the social media platform Steemit. And I wanted to talk about an article I read this morning, posted on Steemit by one of the founders, Dan. It's a great article. It's called Steemit's Evil Plan for Cryptocurrency World Domination. Really interesting read. It's basically about how Steemit isn't even the thing. The social network isn't even the thing. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And that the underlying cryptocurrency, Steem, well, that's really the thing. And the question they were dealing with was, well, how do you create value for this cryptocurrency in a world that's just awash in cryptocurrencies? And Steemit was the solution to that problem. But when I was reading it, what I was really surprised by was the realization that that business model is actually remarkably similar to the business model employed by Tesla Motors. As anyone who follows me on Steemit knows, I recently wrote an article called Why Elon Musk Wants to Buy Solar City and Why It's Brilliant. In that article, I also said that the deal was a done deal, and I think that's pretty much been established, that it is going to go through. And I understood that because I understood and have understood the real business model of Tesla Motors since the very beginning in a way that really very few people have. And part of that is just because I found it really interesting. And then I became a shareholder of the company, and I just love the company. I love learning about it. And to be honest, I probably know about as much as that company as anyone who doesn't work directly there. So when I say that Steemit and Steem that there are remarkable parallels between them, it should mean something. Now, what people don't understand about Tesla is essentially that it is and always has been a battery company. But batteries are hard to sell. That was the problem that Tesla Motors was facing. They had this wonderful battery technology that leveraged economics over chemistry. That is the key innovation that very few people understand about Tesla Motors. Their key innovation was figuring out that you could take small, mass-produced, energy-dense, consumer-grade cells, bundle them all together, and create a battery pack that was more powerful and less expensive than anything else out there. But who wants to sell battery packs? Batteries are effectively commoditized. That's precisely the reason they were able to implement their technology, because they could buy the battery cells being pumped out by companies like Panasonic, their partner. They could buy those at a very low price, package them together, and then they have their own battery pack that's very different than anything else on the market. But then the question comes, well, what do you put it in? How do you convince people to put it in stuff? And then you are acknowledging, you are sacrificing those profits, the profits that will be generated by any product that leverages Tesla's battery packs for its benefit. Elon Musk's key insight, he didn't invent the technology, he didn't come up with the idea for the battery packs, but his key insight was understanding that their technology placed them in a position that would enable them to build a product for which there would be lots of demand. He looked at the powerful battery packs. He looked at the automotive industry, which the company was already looking at. They'd created a test bed, a small roadster-like car to demonstrate the power of the packs. He looked at that industry and he said, all alternative fuel cars are ugly and slow. And we have batteries that would enable us to make them fast and sexy. We can go into this market and we could dominate a sufficient niche of it. In the case of the Model S, the luxury sports sedan. In the case of the Roadster, the sports car. They can dominate this niche, which would enable them to sell enough cars to create sufficient demand for their batteries. And they would get to keep all of the profits generated from all of the enterprises. It's brilliant. It's clearly the same reason why they've migrated into other industries, like with their product, the Powerwall, which is just a battery pack that you can use to store energy locally on site at a commercial or residential property, right? More demand for their real product, which is batteries. That's also why the SolarCity acquisition makes so much sense. The big problem with solar is that if the sun ain't shining, the power ain't flowing. So how do you solve that problem? Well, you store the energy generated while the sun is shining so that you can use it later when it ain't. It makes perfect sense, and it does what every one of Tesla's products has to do. Create additional demand for their real product, which is batteries. Which brings us to Steem and Steemit. What does that have to do with Tesla Motors? What Dan and the other people involved in the project understood is that the value of a thing is directly proportionate to the demand for it. If you want to create something of value, you have to create demand for it. Now, admittedly, step one is creating a good thing, right? For Tesla, it was their unique battery technology. With Steemit, it is a very well-designed cryptocurrency that differs from its peers and has different functionalities and features which make it better suited to certain tasks. Most importantly, the difference is that with Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, their value is effectively determined by just burning energy. Just having computers performing meaningless tasks, meaningless computations, incredibly energetically intense computations to prove that they're real. And this provides the value to the currency, because in order to fake it or defraud it, you would have to expend so much computational energy that it's effectively impossible. But that adds time to the transactions, and it's extremely wasteful. Steemit's innovations attempt to address those concerns, and I think they do it really effectively. One of the ways they do it is through Steemit, the social network. By having individuals send little bits of steam back and forth between one another, they're thereby proving that they're real, that they're real users, that they're real people finding real value in using this currency, and in a way that is not only not wasteful, it creates value in and of itself. The social network provides value. It's a great social network. I highly recommend checking it out. The incentives are really well lined up. There's no corporation running it. There's no censorship. You can say whatever you want. Now, if people don't like it, they can downvote you, and that might cost you a little bit of steam. But what I find happens is it just provides that extra little bit of incentive to not be mean, to not be a dick, to just think about your comment for an extra second and whether you should really post it or not, or whether you should reframe it and try to figure out a way to communicate the same message but in a healthier way. The value added to the social network, I mean, just go to Facebook and you can see it. That Facebook is filled with the most uniform, monotonous, angry, shrill, unconstructive content one can possibly imagine. Now go to Steemit. Do you see any of that? Now, admittedly, it's not perfect. I think the site's about a month old. It's still early on. I'm not saying the social network is perfect. I'm not saying it's the prettiest looking social network. It's like a new baby that you just know is going to grow up into just the healthiest, most robust, most productive individual you can imagine. And that is all enabled by the underlying cryptocurrency. But to get back to the parallels between the Tesla Motors business model and the Steemit business model, the point is that Steemit is to Steam as the Model S, the Model X, the Powerwall, Solar City are to Tesla's battery. They are manufactured demand for the underlying technology. And if that seems like a bit of a stretch, for example, you might be saying, but Tesla Motors, they make batteries. That's a real thing. Steam is just ones and zeros. How could you compare the two? To which I'd say, well, as of right now, Tesla doesn't make batteries. They buy them from Panasonic. The innovation at the core of Tesla Motors was pure information. It was the information that allowed them to know that they could take the battery cells manufactured at very low cost by somebody else, package them together, and create battery packs that were more powerful, more efficient than anybody else, right? It came down to information. The core of Tesla Motors is knowledge, is information. The Model S, the Model X, Solar City, these are all just implementations of information. And I expect a similar process to unfold with Steam and Steemit. Steemit is just the first product that leverages Steam's unique properties to create an exceptional product for which there is plenty of demand, which in turn creates demand for the underlying cryptocurrency. As more products like Steemit come to market, which leverage the unique properties of the underlying cryptocurrency, the more demand will be created for that cryptocurrency, which will proportionately increase its value. I can already think of some. In fact, I've proposed them on Steam. They've gotten upvotes. I've made money by proposing products that, if created, would create additional demand for Steam. One of those ideas was a kind of social network geared specifically towards investors with additional functionalities. For example, you might be able to go, I bought this asset at this price, and then the site automatically keeps track of that. And so if anybody would go to my profile or anything, they'd see, hey, Andrew bought this at this price, and now it's at this price, at a higher price. I guess he's pretty good. What other suggestions does he have? And then the platform would enable me to give suggestions and collaborate with other people and allow us to all share information on trades that we thought were good, while at the same time enabling us to monitor whose predictions are really good in an objective, unbiased way. That's just that's just the first idea. I've been playing with that idea for a long time, and then I saw Steemit, and I was just like, this would be perfect. I mean, there is an infinite world of possibilities for products that could effectively leverage Steam. Part of the whole fun of using Steemit is getting to watch the whole thing unfold and see these ideas being proposed, being implemented, seeing new projects that leverage the underlying cryptocurrency come to fruition. It's a social network just unlike any that has ever existed, and I highly suggest that anybody who's watching this video who hasn't already checked it out, you gotta check it out. I'll be honest with you, the worst part about it is that you have to use a 16-character password, but I promise you, if you get past that, you'll never look back. And every time you go to another social network like Facebook, you'll find yourself going, how did we ever tolerate this?